Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. All right, I'm good. Here we are again, folks. I'm so grateful to be here with you. I've got an amazing guest, Dr. Deborah Fryer. And so I want to tell you a little bit about her. We're going to be talking about, by the way, the anatomy of money. We're going to get down to what's the real deal about money. That is one of my favorite subjects of all time. So Dr. Deborah Fryer is a catalyst for change, a transformational mentor and speaker. She works with creative, spiritual, high-achieving entrepreneurs to help them tap into greater confidence, creativity, prosperity, and peace. Deborah facilitates profound transformation in her clients using a blend of ancient wisdom, modern science, intuition, strategy, mindset, and skill set, logic, and magic. She has an incredible background of being an award-winning documentary filmmaker. She also has 25 years in yoga and meditation, and also has a pre-med degree. How about that? Her eclectic tool set of science and spirituality, arts, and literature helps Deborah to be able to see clients their subconscious programming so they can change their limiting beliefs and habits for good. Hallelujah. When we shine our light of consciousness to those dark places within us, which I just love exploring, we are free to rewrite our stories to be more productive, prosperous, on purpose, and at peace than we ever thought possible, because it's all good, right, Deborah? So
yes, That's beyond the thinking. That's the thing.
Exactly. So it's great to have you here today.
Great to be here.
All right, so we're going to get down all into money. Man, that's one of our favorite subjects here on this show, because one of the questions people asked, I remember one of the last talks I did, how many people feel conflict between spirituality and money? Every single hand in the room went up, every single person. And so it definitely is something that has been created, that sense of disconnect for people wanting to be heart-based, spiritual, or either one or all of it, and feeling like I just want to help people. I mean, that's people's motivation really to want to do great things in the world overall. And a lot of our listeners are coaches and healers and things like that. So with your experience, all this experience and background you have, I know you must have your own story of trying to deal with all this stuff on your own, which probably led you to an investigation to create what you created, like a lot of us do, like including myself. So could you tell us a little bit about where you were running into this issue in your life and how, what you discovered in the process?
Yes, I would be happy to share. So thank you for that awesome introduction. Every time I hear that introduction, I'm like, really? You did all those things? And I look back, I listen to, how I'm being described. And I am a classic overachiever, somebody who really struggled with the imposter syndrome. That's why I got multiple master's degrees and I got a double PhD, and that wasn't good enough. So then I became award-winning filmmaker, and that wasn't good enough. So then I thought, well, if I just get a real paycheck and I get real respect and I have real money, then I will feel okay about myself. So I trotted off to medical school thinking that was the path, because everybody knows that doctors get respected and they get paid well and they have authority. And, never mind that I am a doctor, I have a PhD doctor, but I so discounted that. I so devalued that. So I found myself in the position of being highly educated and wondering, how did I fall through the cracks? What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? And we know that the quality of questions you ask determines the quality of results you get. So number one, I was asking a super disempowering question. What's wrong with me? So if you're asking that question, please, for the love of God, Goddess, Prana, Chi, life force, all that is within and without, strike that. Do not ask yourself what's wrong with you. Ask yourself, what's right with me? What am I celebrating about me? What's magnificent about me? But I didn't know that at the time. So I thought, I'll go to medical school, I'll get a real paycheck, I'll get a real degree, I'll, have more initials after my name, I'll get another degree, and then I'll be somebody worth something. And so there I was on this path to medical school. And, you know, as a filmmaker, I totally loved being a filmmaker. I still am a filmmaker and I still love it. But what was challenging for me was this roller coaster of income. I'd have a project, I'd be here and I'd be creative and traveling and doing good in the world and thrilled with myself and my contribution. And then the project would end and I'd be here and I'd
Down
be
lower, way
scrambling.
down lower for those that are just listening.
Right.
Yes.
And I'd just be scrambling, like, how am I going to pay my rent this month? And, you know, if I have to choose between me and my dog always wins. I'm going to buy dog food before I'm going to buy something for me. And it was, you know, it just got really old really fast. I was so plugged into the starving artist mentality. So fast forward, I'm almost all the way. I have to do a post-baccalaureate pre-medical degree because all of my advanced degrees are all with the right side of my head. They're all about literature and art and history. And, you know, this whole medical school thing that was about analyzing and problem solving and chemistry and, you know, exponents, it was hard for me. And so I had to go get a post-baccalaureate pre-medical degree before I could apply. And so I'm there, I'm applying to medical school. And first we had a flood in my town. And overnight, we lost a third of our house, including the room that I'm in right now. It had to be totally gutted down to the drywall and the windows and the foundation. That went away. This room used to have $50,000 of built-in closets and cabinetry. That all went away. And I was, you know, on the path to school. So I was spending money to get educated and I wasn't making money because I was taking a break from filmmaking. So it was a double whammy that overnight I was, I don't remember, something like $50,000, $60,000 in debt to, you know, fix the house. About 3 weeks after that, my dad dropped dead of a heart attack. He just fell off his chair and he was done. And obviously that's a huge loss. Anytime we lose a parent is a hugely destabilizing force. And the next day, it was my job to go into the anatomy lab. Remember, I'm on the way to medical school, so I was working in the anatomy lab. It was my job to go into the anatomy lab and take the heart out of the cadaver the day after my dad died of a massive coronary. And I just thought, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I thought, I can't not do it. Like, I have to face this. I have to face the fact that my dad died of a heart attack. I have to go take the heart out of the body. I have to understand this. And so I did. And it was in that moment of holding a physical human heart in my hand that I just got this massive download that I had been running my business backwards, that the entire universe, that all of consciousness is flowing through me and it's doing this. Right? I mean, I'm a heart-centered entrepreneur, but I literally got that this is what's happening in my business. I'm supposed to make money and spend money. I'm supposed to receive and I'm giving. I'm supposed to expand and contract. I'm supposed to grow and then I'm supposed to take a rest. And I hadn't been running my business like that. I'd been overgiving and undercharging, often working for free because I didn't really feel that what I was doing was valuable enough to charge for it. I wasn't sleeping. I'd regularly pull all-nighters for pro bono clients that I adored. Meanwhile, you know, I couldn't have been farther from adoring myself while I was depriving myself of sleep, often skipping meals, you know, not going to the gym, not getting on my yoga mat. I was so living in what I'm going to call the masculine model, which doesn't have anything to do with your gender or your, you know, sexual proclivity. It has to do with, you know, the energetic model of the masculine in our culture is the pusher and the striver and the forcer and the aggressive. And I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to figure it out. And I'm like, I was so in my head. And, you know, after the flood and losing my dad and holding a human heart in my hand, everything flipped 180. And I walked out of the anatomy lab that day. And I remember looking up and the sky was this beautiful cobalt October sky. And the aspens were this glorious gold and the wind was, you know, shaking the gold like millions of coins from a princess or an Indian princess's bracelet. And I just remember saying to the aspens, how do you do it? How do you transform so beautifully? And you just let go of what doesn't work for you anymore. And you just let it become the compost of what's next. Teach me, teach me. And I remember just like having this prayer to a tree saying, just take me under your wing and teach me. And I was so brokenhearted after my dad's death and after the flood and losing my office, and my meditation altar was here, and I couldn't do film projects if I wanted to, and I didn't have a business. I didn't have anywhere to do my business. And I just took it to my yoga cushion. I took it to my meditation cushion and my yoga mat. And I remember also having a download of, I'm just going to do what Persephone did. My PhD's in comparative literature. So like, there it was right there. Like Persephone went underground. Like she just did not produce. She went underground and all of earth lay fallow. And I realized in my business, gosh, I've been trying to produce 24/7. And if I'm not making money every single second of every single day, I'm a total loser. And if I don't have a project every single moment of every day, I'm a loser. And I realized, oh my God, that is crazy. Nothing in nature does that. And the flowers open and then they close, and the day opens and it closes, and the tide comes in and it goes back out. And I wasn't doing that in my business. And so I took these teachings really literally deeply into my body. And I decided I'm not going to do anything for 6 months. I'm just going to grieve. I'm going to grieve all the ways I've dishonored myself, all the ways I've devalued myself, all the ways that I've cut myself off at the knees, all the ways I've deprived myself of sleep, of exercise, of love, of money. I'm going to control everything, and I'm going to reject anything coming my way. And I know a lot of really brilliant type A overachievers have that in our conditioning, and we don't realize we have it until we do. So in that moment, for me, I realized that I'd been trying to control everything, and unwittingly I was pushing what I wanted away. So I sat down on my meditation cushion, and I spent a lot of time in yoga, and I spent a lot of time with my journal, and I spent a lot of time in the bathtub, and I cried a lot, and I went on walks a lot. And now it's deep winter. And in deep winter, the trees are completely vulnerable and exposed. They are bare. They have taken off all their clothes. And so much light gets in. And now I started to reflect on, wow, what would happen if I were that vulnerable? If I were that exposed, how much light would shine? And I started looking at the trunks of the trees and looking out my windows because I can see trees, and I could see the trunks were like pregnant bellies that were expanding, and it was like the bark was the stretch mark. And I started to think about Artemis, who was inside the trunk of the tree. And this might all sound really woo, but it reprogrammed me at a cellular level. When the first crocus came up in March, I decided, okay, I'm ready. Nature's coming out, so I'm going to come out. And I just made the declaration in my mind and in my journal, it's time for me to come back to life. And within 24 hours, the phone rang. And it was from a beloved film client that I had made many films for. And all of those films had been for about $5,000. And this client reached out and they said, we have about $50,000. Can you help us? I mean, they just said, we have 10X. Can you make a movie for us? And I said, yes, I can. That's really how it started. Mm-hmm. And I just continued to do the processes that I've been doing, the deep internal work that I've been doing on my sheepskin. You can see it right behind me. And pretty soon people were coming up to me and they're saying, Deborah, what are you doing? And at first I was like, oh, nothing. Like I couldn't talk about it. I just thought it was too weird. There was me judging me. It was also so sacred and so intimate. I didn't have words for it. And, there was one woman who was quite persistent, and she came to all my yoga classes and all my meditation classes that I was teaching locally in my town. And one day she waited for me in the parking lot and she said, I know you say you don't teach this stuff, and I want to be your first client. I was like, I don't have a business. And she said, now you do. Oh. So that's literally how it started, was me doing the deep inner work at the heart center. And the heart is the most powerful bioelectrical field in the body. It's way stronger than the brain. And it's a magnet. And when you live as that vibration, you become the magnet. So that's how my business started. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah. No, that's a beautiful, amazing path that you've lived, and that is birthed, this work that you do now. And so, yeah, I mean, it's so beautiful to me that you help people who are often getting caught up in all the energy of achieving and all that sort of thing. And you help them to discover the paths of surrender, the paths of the heart, the paths of whatever you want to call it. And in allowing that to happen, and I have a huge passion for supporting souls like that, you know, because I had my own version of that. I wouldn't call myself a super achiever in the past, but I had the driver energy, you know, like, oh, we're going to get this done, you know, kind of thing, like it's just overwrought. And so I know for myself that although I've always had that connection with the heart and spirituality, that I've had to deepen that surrender over the years and to trust that, because my mind would say, no, you have to drive in order to be worthwhile and to achieve and to ensure results. And we're going to make sure, right? And then to wake up to realize really more deeply that what you always suspected is, you know, really that's just fear driving the wheel. Okay,
Yeah.
so like, there's a greater power within that's generating it all, like pretty effortlessly. So without us having to do a whole lot often, and then just discovering that and just seeing how easy it can be, really. And I feel like that's what you started discovering there, is what I'm hearing, and that includes this whole subject we're talking about with money. That like that you took the 6 months off and suddenly like, here's a 10x project. Like this is 10 times more than I've ever been paid by these people before. And it's just like right on time, because you were just following the natural rhythm of your being, like to just to wait and to take care of yourself, and then boom, right there on time. So it's beautiful, just a beautiful example and story. And yeah, so tell us more about that.
I love what you're saying about, you know, this part that says you have to drive, because one of the things that was a pivotal moment was a dream that I had where I was driving and I was on my way to the operating room in the dream, and I was, you know, one of the people who had to be there to save somebody's life. And I'm driving like a crazy person, and it's about midnight, and it's sheets of rain and thunder and lightning, and I'm just like careening everywhere, just crazy to get there because it's up to me to like save everybody, right? Wrong. But that was the mindset that I was in. And there was a tree down. It's funny, trees have a very big theme for me. So there was a tree that was down horizontally across the road. And obviously I couldn't drive over the tree. It was an enormous tree. So I had to go around it. Now I'm in the mud and I'm just driving like a crazy person. And my soul is sitting in the back seat, and she's knitting and she's chanting and she's humming. And she says, would you like me to drive? And I'm like, no, I got it. And, you know, soul is being jostled around in the back seat, and she's humming and she's enjoying the view and the lightning, and she's knitting. Do you want me to drive, sweetie? No, I got it. I said I got it. And finally I get to the dock, which is where I have to leave my car and I have to get on a boat that's going to take me to the hospital. The boat capsizes. Somehow I get flung back onto the dock. I'm totally bedraggled. I'm terrified. I'm clearly not going to make it to the hospital. I get back in the car. Soul is still sitting there humming and chanting names of God and enjoying the storm and knitting. And she says, do you want me to drive now? I said, yes, please. And I just felt this, like Mother Mary, divine love, surrender, peace. Everything is taken care of, energy wash over me. And that was part of the medicine that I needed, that I now offer.
Yeah. So tell us about that then. So obviously you got connected, and then you started operating from that place, and then.
Oh, interesting. Because I said I was on my way to the operating room, and now I'm operating from that place. I love that. Thank you for connecting that dot. I love it. Thank you. I've told that story so many times. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Yes.
Now, operating from this place, what I'm imagining came up for you along the way was, I'm going to guess, because this is what I see with myself and others. You probably say, oh, life is a bed of roses, and it's all part of you. I mean, you tell me, maybe you're not correct, this is some summation, but like everything's good and it's all working, you know, it's all great. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, it's not all great. There's something not missing still, like something's going to come in. And it's like the sense of like there's something inside me that wants to emerge still, that is still not there, even within that surrender and that awakening. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm just sensing that happen. And I also just know that tends to happen. Tell me about your experience post like that whole like amazing experience you had.
Well, I think the thing that you just named about how there's something inside of us that's wanting to birth is always true, because what's always happening with every breath that you and I and every bird and every tree and every flower and every human and every four-legged and every finned creature breathes, what's always happening is we are breathing consciousness through us. We simply, each one of us, have a different perspective on what that consciousness is. So every time I breathe in, and then more of me is exhaling into the universe, like more of me is always rising, always. It's not like, oh, I need an opportunity to rise. I can't help but rise. It is inevitable. I mean, that's what we're doing here, down here in the 3D realm, is we are rising. We are declaring that we are the mirror image of the all that is. And I realized, like, I just jumped right to like, where am I? But that's the radical shift that is awaiting for us. So what it used to be like before was I thought I was in control of what was going on down here in the 3D realm, and I needed to do certain things to get a certain result, right? I thought that, you know, I was operating from a place really of scarcity. I need my clients to say yes to me. I need, you know, this much money to pay my bills. I need certain things that come from out here. You know, somebody has to approve of me. Somebody has to like me. Somebody has to pay me, whatever. There was some external condition over here, not in my control, in their control, that I needed for me to feel okay about me. And what I realized in this transformation that I went through is that every time I leaned on something out here as the source of my security, I was setting myself up to disempower myself, because I need them to be there to approve of me, or I can't approve of myself. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so I was so externally focused, and it's not just me. There's really nothing special about me. This is how we all come in. You know, when we land here in the body, and this is actually how the Anatomy of Money was birthed, was I was in meditation, and I just felt this like something dropped down the chimney of me, the channel of me. It was like this enormous Santa Claus bag of toys, and it landed all the way at my root chakra. And what we're doing in human form is materializing spirit. We're creating something of matter. It could be something that matters, something that is our contribution that we feel is valuable and worthy, so it matters. And that means that I matter because I'm the creator of that thing that matters, so I must matter since I created it. We're also realizing that, you know, breath is non-physical. It's invisible. You can't see it, you can't touch it unless you're in a steam room, or if it's, you know, 0 degrees, then you can see it. But for the most part, it's animating us without us actually being aware of it until we are. And breath, as it gets more and more and more and more and more compressed, right? Air, as it gets more and more and more and more and more compressed, starts to become matter, right? This is what an atom is. An atom is mostly space with a nucleus in the middle. And the more and more atoms get compressed, they become things. They become, you know, shirts and iPhones and desks and computers and stuff like that. So that awareness of, you know, what Einstein called wave particle duality, that I'm a wave and a particle, is huge for your money story, because thoughts create things. So what you're thinking in the non-physical is going to become a solid, tangible thing if you keep focused on that thought long enough.
That's right.
And I realize I might have just like gone way down another road, but
no, all connects perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I mean, that is just a law. I mean, what we're really putting our attention on is what our life is. What I always say to people, like, and I've proven it hundreds of times with my clients. Like, listen, okay, let's measure it, you know, and like exactly what they're putting the most attention on is their life, and it's that simple. So once we can realize the simplicity of that, it makes a big difference. Now we do have a thing that I know you talk a lot about called the subconscious, and how that know, like that can like, we think we're focusing on what we want because it almost becomes invisible. I think a lot of times when we're not being aware, like you're thinking, I'm not enough. I don't have enough. I need clients. I need to get that project done. I didn't. You're like, oh no, I've got this. It's good. It's fine. Oh yeah, I'm 60. But like 80, 90% of the time in between, you're thinking all this other stuff and it's really dominating your attention, really.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what part of what we have to do is just become awake to that, right? And then I would love to hear what I mean, I know that's part of the process, at least for me. So tell me more about how do we deal with that subconscious, because I know that's a big part of your work, and how do we start to shift all these, because it's like, it's so amazing to me. Like I awaken more to it all the time. Like I feel like, oh, I'm awake. I understand the way things are and everything. You don't realize how many things are so wired into you in the subconscious that you just say, though, that's just the way it is. That this just is. And it's not, It's totally a made up idea.
I love that. You know, you and I, we must have the same client, right? When somebody says that's just the way it is, you are so arguing for your limitation, because the way it is a reflection of what has already been created. So the way it is a reflection of, how can I say this? When you say that's just the way it is, you're accepting a limited view and a partial view of reality. We all know that there are coaches who make $15,000 a year and they're struggling, and there are coaches who make $150,000 a year and they're not struggling, and there are coaches who are making multiple six figures a year and they're speaking on stages, and there are 7-figure and 8-figure coaches. And you know, what's the difference? Everybody has the same physiology. We all have the same capacity to steward consciousness through us. From my perspective, this has to do with your mindset. It has to do with, are you trying to figure it out from here? Because your conscious analytical mind operates at a state that's called the beta state. Right? This is a brainwave state, and it's a brainwave state that's associated with alertness. It's associated with awakeness, with conscious thinking, with excitement. Excitement feels identical to fear and anxiety. And your conscious brain accounts for, scientists say, about 1 to 4% of your actions, your beliefs, and what you do every day. Your subconscious, that means the part that's under your awareness, is controlling 96 to 99%. Some of the things are automatic. For example, you don't have to know how to digest your food. Your body knows how to do that. You don't need to know how to regulate your body temperature. Your body does that. You don't need to know how to pump blood through your body and for the red blood cells to pick up oxygen and distribute it to all the tissues.
Wait a minute, Deborah, I think I do. Wait a minute, is it pumping? Let me check.
Right? Like, you just get to run all those things on autopilot. Now, most of your life, you are also running on autopilot. You and me and everybody else are running it on knee-jerk reactions, on default beliefs that you have never considered might be wrong until you do. And, you know, like I said, when you're looking around you and you're seeing the past, because you're seeing what has already been made manifest, if you look at your bank account, you're seeing your subconscious beliefs. Your subconscious leaves clues. So when you look at your bank account and you see, well, I have this much money in my savings account, or I have this much money rolling through my business every month. And then you ask yourself, oh, well, what does this mean about me? And then the mind is going to get busy writing stories about it. And the mind's going to say, oh, well, this means that I suck because I can't make any money. This means I'm irresponsible. This means I should be further along. This, you know, and the mind is going to go crazy story writing. And the more the mind does its story writing, you know, the worse you feel. And you start to spin out and feel like an imposter. Now you're going to sabotage yourself because you are just stuck in fight or flight. Your nervous system has kicked in big time to protect you, because there was something in your upbringing that said, you're not allowed to make that much money. People like us don't make money. You can't be spiritual and rich. Oh, money is the root of all evil. Oh, rich people are trashing the environment. Some version of that. You unconsciously absorbed it like a little sponge, and you've been operating with a user's manual that's 40, 50, 60 years old, right? You wouldn't drive a car with a user's manual that was 40, 50, 60 years old, but you're driving your life with a user's manual that is extremely out of date. So when we can literally change the state, the brainwave state, the brainwave isn't the source of your brain state. It's simply a reflection of your habitual thinking. So one of the power tools that I practice every day and I share with my clients is, how do you change the state of your thinking? You know, and I got this in medical school or pre-medical school, in the organic chemistry lab, when I was understanding electrons and how an electron makes a quantum flip. And there are a couple of interesting things about electrons and chemistry, and what does it have to do with money? So Heisenberg's uncertainty principle basically says that the electron is wherever the observer says it is. In other words, reality is subjective based on you. So if you say, I'm broke, I can't afford it, you are forcing the universe to show you examples. You are forcing yourself to look for examples to prove that you're right.
Exactly.
Right? And the alternative is also true, that if you begin to affirm, I make plenty of money, I'm a sought after coach, I'm a best-selling author, if you begin to walk like she walks, to live your day the way she lives her day, with the habits and the practices and the beliefs, you will begin to see a shift. So how do you switch your brain away from that state of, I can't, it's not going to work for me? I mean, that's just your survival brain. We're all programmed first for that. I mean, that's what the brain looks for first. That's a way of the brain making sure that you survive. The second thing the brain's going to look for after survival is, number two, do I have the energy? So if you are only plugged into your own self, if you're always thinking about, what are they going to think of me? What if they don't like me? What if I fail? I'm sorry to break it to you and your people, but that's really arrogant and self-centered. If all you're thinking about is what other people are thinking about you, like, are you here to serve? Are you here to be the divine presence and a visionary leader and change agent? Or are you here to like play small and shrink because God forbid somebody doesn't like you? You know, the bigger you are, the more visible you are.
Yeah.
And so, you know, how do we get out of that trap that we're conditioned to? It's everywhere, right? It's in the TV, it's in the media, it's in all the fake news that people are getting broadcast. Well, you're probably feeding your own self some fake news about your insufficiencies and your incapacity. So how do we flip that? Take a big breath in. That's a really simple way by slowing down the breath. So when you breathe in through the nose, you actually are activating receptors on the lowest lobes of your lungs, and you're telling your body, I can relax. I can relax. I've got this. And now you flip into what we know as the relaxed alpha state. There are lots of ways to get into this state, and you can feel that I just switched, right? I got into an exaggerated, kind of hyper aroused a moment ago, and now I'm like, it's all good, it's all chill. And you can feel that, right? There's something in the heart field where you're like, wow, she just totally downshifted. Mm-hmm. So you can downshift through meditation, through dance, through getting in water. It turns out that water, the second chakra, the water element, is associated with your creativity. So and the earth chakra, the root chakra, is also associated with you feeling grounded and stable, anchored in your presence. You know, you're rooted in who you are. You're taking a stand for who you are. And most spiritual, heart-centered entrepreneurs run their business. When they struggle with their businesses, it's because they're running their business from the heart and, you know, from spirit, and they're not grounded. So, you know, I get a lot of pushback, but this is indeed the way, is that when you align with the grounded frequencies, root chakra frequency, earth frequency is the relaxed alpha frequency. And, you know, so when you connect with really heavy feelings in the body, when you experience a heavy feeling like grief, like sadness, like wanting to give up, that's your body trying to stabilize you. It's not wrong. There's nothing wrong happening. That's actually your body energetically taking a stand for you, wanting to plant you here so that you can rise up from, from you, which is what you just said a moment ago. Same with sadness, tears of transformation. I see this all the time, and I'm sure you do too. That connects us to the water element, the second chakra, which is our personal power. It's our creativity. It's our relationship with all those parts of ourselves. The part of you that's really afraid you're going to be rejected, you're probably rejecting that part of you more than anybody else is. The part of you that you're so afraid is going to get in trouble, you probably make that part of you be in trouble more than anybody else. And so, the Anatomy of Money really was birthed from me living deeply in these frequencies of earth. Remember I said I sat on my meditation cushion? That was me. I didn't know it at the time, but that was me really grounding and stabilizing myself so that there'd be a place for soul to live. Because soul, lives here, and I needed to create a home that was safe and reliable.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things as far as like being able to get more into that chillax kind of place, that chillax place, I like to call it, is through the breath and then getting relaxed, and that takes some of that the frenetical energy that's in fight or flight and everything, and just relaxes that so that you're not operating even more unconsciously, right? So that's how I'm hearing it. And then from that place is as we go into alpha and even deeper, then we have the opportunity to allow more of the good stuff in, to get a new current going. I look at it as, I call it a current, a current inside ourselves. Some people even have called it like a currency, and they heard say that. You mean the currency, right? Awesome.
It is.
Currency going, right? Because once you have, that's a cool thing about the subconscious. Everybody's like, that doggone subconscious is getting me. But it's like, it's actually the thing that when cultivated like a garden, right? Then everything's on autopilot. Wow, the money's pouring in. I'm serving all these people. It's amazing, right? So it's like just a matter of tending to it, knowing that, it takes a certain amount of time to do that and to do all the full fruits of it. So what are some of the things you do to help people, or suggestions you even have for people today, to help them to do that? There's so many books, there's so many things you can do, but I was wondering if you have some perspectives on it that maybe perhaps we haven't heard before, like a couple of like tricks or something like that. Shortcuts, maybe, brain hacks, things like that.
I love what you said about, we think that we want to get the subconscious to be on our team. And the reality is the subconscious has always been on your team. It has never been against you. You've made up some story in your head that this is good and this is bad. And that my conscious mind is good because it's my protector, and my subconscious mind is bad. And so I want to get rid of it. And I want to help you, have a quantum shift around that. Just like the electrons jumped into a different state, you can help your own self jump into a different state of consciousness when you realize that all of you is on your team and has always been, all the parts of you.
Yes.
So what are some tricks? I get asked this all the time. What's the trick? And I say, you are the missing link. And if you're someone who, I'm not saying you, Daniel, are, because we're having this conversation, but when people feel like there's something out over here that they need to do, there's some strategy, there's some template, there's some course you need to take, there's some degree you need to get, there's some certification. If I make a certain amount of money, then I'll finally have arrived. All of that is actually a detour.
Yep.
And when you can come back into the body, come back into the central channel of the body through your breath, through yoga, through chanting, through meditation, through tapping, through journaling, through a cold shower. There are so many ways. So I'll just go through, I'll just come up with 5 off the top of my head.
Sure.
And the 5 that I'm right now going to share with you. So your body is made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Earth is the root chakra. It's the bones, same as the coral substrate of coral. the second chakra has to do with the water element. Think ocean, think tide, think cloud, right? All the water that's flowing around the planet is actually filtering through you. I'm drinking water. It's going to go through my personal filtration system, my kidneys. I'm going to pee it out. It's going to go to the community water system. It's going to go back to the river, back to the ocean. It's going to come down as rain, back into the tap, back into my water bottle, back into my body. So I'm filtering all the water that is through me. I'm also filtering food through me, right? Let's say I ate an apple. How'd the apple get there? Well, the tree rose up, right? And then the apple came out of the tree. So how did the tree happen to rise up? What were those conditions? Well, sunlight came down, water came down, and earth supported it. So there's earth, water, fire, right? In the food that we eat. Earth, water, fire. The heart actually has all of them. Air is associated with fifth chakra, with wind, with using your individual voice. And space is, I'm moving space right now, and space is moving for me. Like it has to be, or I couldn't be moving, right? So I'm going to give you different tools. I'm going to give you 5, but one that pertains to each element. So let's start with the earth element. So the earth element has to do with you feeling your connection to earth. And one of my favorite brain hacks for earth element, and it's in the Brain Hacks book, which I'm sure we'll talk about before the end of this time. It's a book that I wrote about 108 ways to, turn on higher brain centers. So one of my favorite brain hacks is Himalayan sea salt. Super simple. Himalayan sea salt, put it on your food, put it in your water. Why? Because your neurons are talking to each other through sodium potassium channels, and the heart is operating through sodium potassium channels. And there's a certain balance in your body of how much salt and how little salt. So salt is one of the things that activates what we call an action potential. And it just makes you feel like, oh, like I got that. It stimulates you, and it tastes delicious. It's got lots of trace minerals in it that are super beneficial for healing. So Himalayan sea salt is a lovely earth element that you can add to your food. Way better for you than some kind of bleached, salt that has all the good stuff bleached out of it. So for the water element, one of my favorite, also a daily habit that I have, is I take a cold shower first thing in the morning. In the Kundalini Yoga world, this is called Ishnan therapy. Some people just think it's ish. Like, why would you want to take a cold shower? I love it. And, we know this in many traditions. Think about Nordic traditions that will sit in a sauna and then they'll go roll in the snow, or traditions that have a polar bear plunge. So first thing in the morning, I step into the cold shower. Yes, it is really cold. Is it partially hot? No, it is really cold. People are like, are you crazy? You live in Colorado in the winter? Yes, it is really cold. It is cold water. Why do you want to immerse yourself in cold water? Because what happens is there's a kind of pumping, a capillary pumping, where all of your blood is going to rush to your core. And then when you warm up, it's going to rush back out. So there's a kind of flushing that happens. There's a kind of detoxification that happens. And it wakes you up. It's super stimulating. It washes away the sleep, and I just get massive downloads. I write almost all my email content in the shower. So a cold shower. I'm also a big fan of any kind of water. So I spend a lot of time in a swimming pool. I spend a lot of time in a steam room. I spend a lot of time in the bathtub. I get into hot tubs. I get in the ocean. I get in a lake. I get in a river. Any place there's water, I will submerge in it. Why? Because I want to immerse myself in the flow so that I become one with the flow. Because the truth is, you are the flow. You are the flow of all consciousness. So the more that you remember that you are the flow, the easier it is to be it 24/7. So water is a great way for you to get closer to merging with the flow. Rather than getting in the flow, just be the flow.
These amazing things you're sharing. It's just when people are like, okay, this is great. I love all these tips. And it's like, how is this really the anatomy of money in terms of doing all these things? Okay, I'm going to have some Himalayan salt and I'm going to make $1 million. That's awesome. I mean, I guess
that's a great question.
What happened, right? So, but like, tell us more about how this all feeds into this, because we never even got to that, And I'm just curious, like, how does this all interact with the anatomy of money for people who are like, man, I want to make more money, and how can I utilize these things to make more money, so to make it concrete for them in that regard?
That is a great question. And I'm going to use the cold shower as an example, because most people, when they're presented with the opportunity to do a cold shower, they're like, oh, I wouldn't want to do that. I'm going to get uncomfortable. One of the things that you need to get very comfortable doing and being is getting uncomfortable. If you're not willing to get uncomfortable, you are not going to break through to your next level in money or in relationships or in being a best-selling author or a speaker on stage or a sought-after coach or whatever the thing is that is your dream. If you're not willing to go
Deborah, I do have
beyond.
to jump in. I did warn you coming on this show. I might challenge some ideas or
Yep.
get
Yeah,
more,
go for it.
more love and truth out. So is that absolutely true, right? I mean, if we took that to the deepest mat of truth, we can't say absolutely that's true. I could say like that's been my experience. Like I have to become uncomfortable or otherwise forget it. Change doesn't happen for me. I could say personally that's true. But I also wonder about that is it possible a certain amount of that really is just our belief system, man? It's just got to be hard. It's got to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
Try to tease that one out for us. Yeah.
I love that question because this is one of my personal experiments this year. So the way that I used to do it was, here's me, here's my goal. And I would have challenge. I would just bump against it and I'd give up. I'd bump against it and I'd give up. I'd bump against it and I'd give up. And so I was down here in this spiral of self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
And then I somehow got over this hump and now I was over here. Okay, so my goal is still up here. Now I'm operating here. So then the way that I operated was, okay, well, here's a challenge and I'm going to, do my neuro juju about it and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to, I'm going to be scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to take risks and I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to have failed launches and I'm going to do it anyway. And then I get to be victorious. So I set it up like the hero's journey, which is here's me and here's a challenge. And I'm going to have to interact with that challenge so that I can get around it and be victorious. Now, the way I'm playing the game is that I just go straight to victorious. I don't actually need the challenge anymore. And I know that that is a level of consciousness that for a lot of people is like, how the F do you not have a challenge? And the reason is because the perspective that I now have is that everything has been created for me, by me, so that I can expand to my next level. The only thing that's happening is good. I'm not in the land of duality anymore where this is good and this is bad, right? In the land of this is good and this is bad, here's me, the victim, here's my obstacle or challenge, here's my mentor. I get to be now the hero because this is the bad thing that I got around and I need a bad thing. Mm-hmm. There is no such thing as bad thing anymore. Mm-hmm. So I love that question. Like, do you have to struggle? No, you don't. And it's brand new terrain that I'm playing with and it's super fun because I catch myself all the time saying, it's really hard. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, you're just making it hard. There actually is no such thing as hard. You are making it hard.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh yeah.
So there may be, what I look at is like, because all it is resistance, right. So it may feel like a struggle, it may feel difficult, it may feel uncomfortable. And I guess like it might be wise to tell people, well, okay, if it's uncomfortable for a while, but that's maybe that's part of your path, perhaps doesn't have to be, but maybe that's what you do need to embrace. And that's what I say. I say you have to embrace the sense of uncomfortability, or even this idea of going to hell and all that sort of thing. You have to embrace the idea of that, because actually once you do, the sense of challenge just disappears. If you fully, deeply embrace it in your body, as you know, Deborah, I know you teach this, like it just disappears. And mm-hmm. So that was just something I wanted to jump in there, but often it is very uncomfortable. So you're definitely mm-hmm. right on that. It's yeah. Absolutely.
And the resistance, it's what I was talking about. The tree, it roots more. The more the tree grows tall, the more the roots are, deeper into the earth. And so, the resistance, it sounds like it's something that we're pushing against, and I don't see it that way anymore. I see it as this is the thing that is anchoring and stabilizing me as I have more authority, as I have more influence, as I have more confidence. And all of those things feel expansive. What is also happening in exactly the same proportion is great humility, is great hunkering down into the earth, which I used to call resistance. Mm-hmm. And I realized, oh, that's me stabilizing my tree. You remember at the beginning of this conversation, I said, I'm so informed by the trees. And I said to the trees, tell me how you do it. And what the trees are teaching me is that they're rooted. they're rising from a rootedness,
Mhm.
right? Like the tree doesn't hang out only in the crown. It can't. It's got to be stable at the root. And so that's just as important.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know you had other tips to share. Kind of feel like we're kind of running out of time a little bit. I was wondering if you could direct people somewhere where they can get like you've got like a gazillions of tips, like things that people can take in. Where can they get that? Like, we have a free gift link we're going to put in the show notes, but can you tell them about your brain hacks? You know, your free brain
Yes.
hacks thing. Yeah, yeah.
So there's a book that I'd love to offer you for free. It's called Best Brain Hacks, 108 Scientific, Spiritual, and Sensual Strategies for Success. And I realized that I only got to talk to you about the earth and the water element and didn't talk to you about fire, air, or space. There are lots of brain hacks in that book that will take you through different parts of your consciousness, through ways that you can use seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching and music and writing, and lots of ways for you to shift gears so that you spend even 5-10 minutes in the relaxed alpha state or some of the deeper states, like the theta state or the gamma state, which is a higher consciousness state it's related to the flow state, where time just disappears. So I invite you to go get that book. There's a link below. It's on my website, deborahfryer.com, and there's a link right here on this podcast page, and check it out. See which brain hacks work for you.
Awesome. And then I was wondering, what are some of your favorite? Do you have? I know you do. So what are your favorite mantras to when you get relaxed and you're meditating and everything? What are some of your favorite mantras to deepen in around success and money and things like that? Or what are some of the most helpful ones that you utilize?
One of my favorite mantras is ease works for me. Ease works for me. Struggle used to work for me. I fired her. She was a bitch. She showed up late. She was always arguing with me. And so I let her go. She worked for me for almost, 47 years. And I decided that she'd served me well, and it was time to let her go. So I hired ease, and ease works for me. So that's one of my mantras, is ease works for me. I also like it gets to be easy. It gets to be easy.
Mhm.
I say that a lot. It gets to be easy. Every time I notice myself saying, it's really hard, there's a little voice that says, nope, it gets to be easy. And I remember, no, it's like, that's just you making it hard, and it doesn't have to be. So it gets to be easy. I use a lot of musical mantras. So Satnam is one. Sat means truth. Nam is I bow, I honor, I humbly recognize, I humbly acknowledge the truth in me and the truth in you. So Satnam, that's a good one. I have one I'm using nowadays that I quite love, which is, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And so I'm starting from a being state. This is who I am
Mhm.
and this is what I'm doing. So this is who I am. I'm much more oriented, like the tree, in a
Mhm.
vertical orientation, allowing the all that is to flow and stream, because that's what I am. Is I'm live streaming consciousness right now. This is who I am. And what I'm doing is out here in the 3D realm. I'm doing a podcast, I'm doing a course, I'm writing a book, I'm speaking on a stage, I'm coaching these clients. So I quite like that one. This is who I am, this is what I'm doing. Those are my three faves.
That's awesome. I love that. And then how do you, I have my system, everybody has their little own systems. Do you have a specific focus for your business, or are you just like, some people do have the whole thing. I'm just open and I'm always just imagining and it's open. Or do you have like, okay, I want to have, when I launch, I want to hit this, I want to hit that, I want to hit, and then if you do have specific metrics in your business with the money and things you want to accomplish, do you use those as things that you review and repeat all the time? Or how do you work with that for yourself, Deborah? I was curious.
Yes to all of it.
Yes, 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 and yes. All of this.
So the first part you said, am I a creator? Yes. I'm very much aligned with the creator I am, and I walk around as creator. So the first I mean, the first year in my business, my goal was I just want to have the experience of breaking six figures. And I did
Mhm.
that. And then the second year, I wanted to have the experience of a six-figure month. So I did that. And then the next year, I wanted to have the experience of a six-figure day. So I did that. And I've done that a couple of times. And that's super fun. And I'm just playing with like, what other experiences would I like to have? So
Mhm.
now I'm in a place where I realize I have created so much content because I'm a creator. So I like to create something new. If I've already created it, it's already done. And I'm like a little bored because I already did it. And I want to create something new. So I realized, and I'm going to go back to the tree metaphor, just as a tree, it flowers and flowers and flowers. And then at a certain point, it makes some apples. And then pretty soon, the apples start falling to the ground and you're going to gather them and you're going to bring them to market. So where my business is now is I'm gathering a lot of the fruit and I'm turning it into products that are, just way, way, way more products that I have created so that I don't have to do everything live every moment that I offer something, because I can reach more people if it's available. Let's say it's a book, you just read it whenever you want to read it. I don't have to be present.
Mhm.
So that's the next stage of my business is um, creating more products that are evergreen, that are standalone, that you can consume at any time you want. Uh, and in terms of, do I have projections? Of course. It's fun. It's fun to imagine what's next. So I like to imagine what's next. What would be fun for me to experience? What do I want to teach next? And then when I ask myself that, well, what do I want to learn next? Because the best way to learn something is to teach it. So, I have so much fun being the CEO of my own business because I'm a lover of learning. I'm a lover of reading. I'm a lover of meditation. So I spend quite a lot of time reading and meditating and having next level experiences so that I have the embodied experience and then I can go out and teach it. So, I'll put into my meditation when I'm in a very relaxed state, often when I'm in the theta state. I do this every night before I fall asleep, when my brain is cycling down into that relaxed alpha state, and then the theta, and then the delta. And I also do it in the morning when my brain is cycling back up. That's the perfect time to put ideas into your subconscious mind. Thomas
Mhm.
Edison said, never go to sleep without putting in your order to the universe. That's what he was talking about.
Mhm.
So I'll plant ideas in my subconscious mind of what my income goal is for a certain period of time or for the year. And then I'll just see it happening and I'll feel it happening and I'll feel the energy of the room and I'll feel the joy. I'll feel all of the emotions as though it has already happened. And physicalizing it in your body is a really great way to accelerate the manifestation of it.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I love that. So that's really great information right there. So that's something that folks you can use right away. People sometimes say, I don't know how to visualize and all that stuff, but I believe people can get the sense of feeling success, right? Feeling like this is happening. And even if you don't get these crystal clear images, there's like a sense of just something happening, right? A sensation, or maybe there are little images or lots of images for some people. So it just
Mhm.
all depends. And to play with that and allow that to drop in, and I love that. So you did teach a lot, or as far as like how people can get into this state to allow these things to get in more. You shared so much. People can tell right away. I mean, I know like you have so much wisdom, so many things to share with people, and so I definitely recommend that people go and check out those hacks. Those brain hacks. And again, you can go to deborahfryer.com, or you can just click on the link in the show notes here to get that. There's going to be just so much information in there that for you. And if with the information thing, it's like, hey, if you even use 1% of it, or just one good idea in there that could change your life, could change your financial potential, your potential period, then it's worth it. And the last thing I want to say is, Deborah, I feel like we should have almost done 2 hours for today, because you're so, I'm so deep, you're so deep. We didn't even get into the whole shadow thing that much, right? And that, money is like, I love, like, I feel so connected with you when I talk about money is just our own consciousness. And I've been talking about that for years too. Like, it's just our own consciousness. You want to know the anatomy of money? It's your own consciousness. That's what we're working on. And what Deborah is sharing today here will help. So, Deborah, with that in mind, and that we are going to wrap up in a few minutes here, is, do you have any last words for the audience about anything?
Your perception creates your reality. Embrace how powerful you are. Embrace that you have created everything that you've experienced up till this moment right now. And the now creates the future. The thoughts that you choose to think right now, the beliefs you choose to have about yourself right now, the actions you choose to take from now on, all of that is going to create your future. And so the sooner that you realize how powerful you are and how magnificent you are and how abundant you are already, the faster you'll start seeing the realization of that in material terms. It really is as close as your perception.
Absolutely. And we can change our perception. It seems like, wow, I've got all these crazy thoughts. I'm just so messed up. And you just one thought on top of another, it just feeds on itself. And it's like, once you start to learn to just to shift that, it's like your whole life just flips. And you don't know where that tipping point is going to happen. So that's why I just put a shout out to everybody. I've experienced these flips more than once in my life, even because I'm an experimenter. I'm like, what if I go to this? What if I let go of that habit? What if I do that? And I'm like in a lab all the time. I feel like let's try this. And then you start to realize, okay, oh wow, those things really were working. And oh wow, it really does work. That you go from this state and then it flips as you continue to refocus your attention. And so people, you can do this. You can go to your next level, whatever that is, whether you're getting started or you want to go to the next level, and Deborah can help you with that. So Deborah, I just wanted to thank you. People, by the way, just a quick thing is, if people want to check me out, I'm at yoursacredpurpose.com. You go there, you can get a Meditate and Make Money meditation. It'll help you every morning, open up the chakras and get the downloads and everything, and 4 ways to meditate and make money as well with that. And you can just check me out there. So that's about it, Deborah. Just thank you so much for being you and what you brought forth today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me to be on this. And you're such a great interviewer. And I love the provocative questions that you asked. Thanks for holding space for this conversation to happen.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, big love to you and all our audience. Goodbye for now. You're listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.